MarTech Talk has been a lot of fun to do in the past year. There have been a lot of highlights and really interesting discussions I've had a chance to have. From the very first one, I've been so impressed by all the creativity, brain power going into marketing and PR technology today. I think the dynamism of the space leads to that and naturally kind of generates that. I think the biggest thing I've learned is you just can't underestimate the pace of change in the space. For starters, we've gone from everyone's seen the chart that's out there that shows the number of MarTech companies, and it's just proliferating to where there are literally thousands, many of them well-funded, venture-funded. If they're not generating revenues and profits, there's at least investors behind them that believe in them. It's gotten to the point where probably it's going to start going the other direction, and we're going to start to see consolidation. And some of these players in the different MarTech sectors are going to really dominate. But it's right at this very interesting phase where we don't know who those winners are going to be. We can start to see it in some cases, but in a lot of cases, it's really going to be who has the better mousetrap and who's going to be able to come up with an idea and execute on it faster than someone else. And that's what makes MarTech a really interesting space to talk with people with. I had a chance to talk with a couple of PR pros like me who are really looking at how technology is impacting PR. One being Jeannie Dietrich, who behind the popular Spin Sucks blog. The other being Ileana Staryeva, who has written a great book called Inbound PR, and she's with HubSpot. Ileana basically approaches her book and her message with the premise that the way that PR has been done in the past, focused on outbound, outreach to traditional media, as opposed to using inbound marketing techniques for a media audience, finding ways to get media to come to your website. That's an interesting orientation, an example of how PR people have to rethink how they do their jobs.
The PR industry, unlike other industries, traditionally has been slow to jump on the bandwagon of new developments. Take, for example, social media. I think PR people are just naturally suited to drive social media and any conversations around it, really to be those community managers, because that's what PR people do. They build relationships. However, I remember a few years back when social media rose, PR wasn't necessarily, quick enough to actually jump and realm the whole social media piece, and a ton of social media agencies arose. Marketing agencies started doing all of that. So, and there are a ton of awards that have been won not by a PR agency in that spectrum.
Jeannie Dietrich, expanding on that, talked with us about developing the PESO model approach to PR, which stands for Paid, Earned, Shared, and Owned, and really communicating the message that if you just look at PR the way it's been looked at in the past as earned media or just pitching to journalists and your job being to get those placements and nothing else, then you're really doing a disservice to your clients today.
Until digital came about, PR was media relations, events, crisis, and reputation management. That was it, right? So it's completely been turned on its head. And now we have digital, we have content marketing, we have paid social, we have email marketing, all these things that we can do and should own, take control of, that give us a gigantic opportunity to make real inroads with organizations. And, before we had awareness and brand shift change, and now we have, generating warm leads and nurturing those leads and helping to convert them.
Both of those interviews really spoke to me, because that's exactly the kind of thing that we're thinking about at Idea Grove every day. How do we expand and evolve the definition of PR to provide more value to our clients and to help them achieve their goals. The commonality is that they're all changing to focus more on customer experience as opposed to specific products and services.
That core value proposition around if I do this, I get that is kind of table stakes, but it's really how you make the customer feel, the emotional connection they get with the brand.
The reality is that consumers are going to be confused by the number of options that they have available to them today. And it's only those companies that do the effort to brand themselves that will help them to stand out amongst all of the noise that's available and that's coming. There's a lot more noise that's coming.
I think for the longest time when we've talked about HubSpot or we've talked about just businesses in general, we talk about a funnel. And so you have something that obviously looks like this, and you have marketing and leads at the top, and then you have sales, closed business, and then customers end up being like this output or this thing that you get by doing marketing and sales activities. Essentially, the flywheel kind of rethinks how your business should be set up. And so instead of thinking about your business as a funnel, you should think about it as the cyclical motion where marketing drives sales, and then sales turns into service, and providing exceptional service then turns into more marketing and more leads. And that kind of all revolves around in a circle. And as you start getting better at each one of those facets and you start thinking about the integrations between the two, you can really ramp up how fast your business is growing.
So I think that taking this broader approach beyond kind of point solutions or individual elements of a software to finding that bigger problem to solve is what seems to really separate the winners from the losers today. Well, a video series like this is something that you can easily produce using tools like Zoom. You can just call somebody up and both get on a Zoom call and have a conversation. It helps, like we have at Idea Grove, to have we have Crystal, who's a full-time videographer who can edit the videos and make them look nice for us. But even if you maybe are a small business and don't have those budgets or that kind of help, it's easy to do. And people want to see you. People connect with people in that way, and why not get out there and do it? It's easier to have a conversation for most people than to write a blog post. A lot of people, I'm a writer, but a lot of people would do anything to avoid writing if they could. That's not for everybody. So this is an alternative that's as easy as having a conversation, and that's what I would encourage people to do. It's easy. Try it. I hope that as I do more of these, I'll get better at it, and we'll continue to uncover interesting folks to talk with about changes and trends. So I'm not sure what it'll look like a year from now, but that's part of what makes it interesting.